take two. Didn't have the right microphone recording last time, so uh, we'll start from the beginning. I painted this guy off camera. He's our Spartan Mark 7. Also off camera, I did some black base coating on all of the remaining Spartans. I started on an elite. Here's our reference. We're going to be using a Gothic blue as our blue for the elite, just to give them a little bit less Spartan blue look. That's where we're at. Double checking. Yep. Okay. Do have the correct mic. Triple checking. Yes, I do have the correct microphone. So back to where we left off. So we were putting down base coats of blue. And again, let me put some more blue on the palette. We're not worried about being too careful now. I'm using a new brush, so I do a lot of control. Thankfully, it's a much finer tip than my older brushes. I'll get that wet. Simply because it's fresh out of the package. We have our wet palette. We have a little bit of water, and let's get to it. So. So I usually add just a little bit of water, and if it gets too wet on the brush, you can kind of touch the edge to the edge here. Now this is not too much, so you might have seen it, but I'll show you if it comes up. I'll show you. But yeah, we're just gonna do the anywhere that's not black or anywhere we don't want black. And this is a smaller brush. This is a number 1, so smaller than the number 2 I typically use, but well, I guess what that means is I'm going back to the palette a lot more. Now that can be a good thing because with the smaller brush I definitely have more control. I'm not as sloppy as I'm way out of the frame here. Yeah, so not as sloppy, but I am having to go back to the palette a lot more for color. So for base coats, I usually like the bigger brush for that reason. I can kind of just get everything on all the paint on the mini. I don't have to go back to the palette as often, but work with what we got. I'm still messing with the camera angle, so if I get out of frame a whole lot, I might pause and move the camera. Is it blurry? It's there. So when I painted those off camera, I realized how close I get when I'm painting to the mini, and with the camera right in my face, I can't get as close as I would like. It's just getting comfortable with the tools I have to make sure I'm capturing this, and who knows, maybe I find a setup when I'm willing to take the time. Right now, I want to paint, and I figured I could make the video since we're doing this series. I did one off camera already, and I try not to do too many of them off camera. But we'll see. It's all about enjoying it. Sometimes you just don't have the energy to set up and work around the limitations of doing it on the camera. So, but today's the day for painting, so let's paint. I think, did I call out the color? This was a Gothic blue. It's a pale blue, so it's a little bit desaturated compared to the Regal blue that we were doing. I like it. It gives it a more muted look, I guess. I think it works well for the Covenant because I'm trying to think back to Halo, the original Halo. Now I know these. I haven't read too much of Flashpoint's lore, but I think it's So here's what I was talking about. You can take the brush if there's too much water. There wasn't a whole lot in that one either, but I thought I had more. Anyway, I haven't read the Flashpoint. If there's any Flashpoint lore, I don't know what era it takes place in. I assume whatever modern Halo is doing is what they're also doing. I don't think they're stuck in the original trilogy. Unfortunately, I haven't done much in the new trilogy. Or I guess, is there even a new trilogy? I haven't done anything past Halo 3. I haven't really explored. Uh, I did read some of the novelization back when Halo 1 and Halo 2 were coming out. They didn't really get into much of the novelization with that original trilogy, though. Um, so I don't know how much of that is still canon, if it is canon, if it ever was canon. But it was a fun read. Um, don't remember too much about it, honestly, but they're fun. Being 15 and reading some fun adventure sci-fi. Um, Closest you could get to playing a sequel before Halo 2 came out. We're just doing a little bit of touch-ups from what I did earlier when my mic was on the wrong setting. I see I missed a spot of black down here, which is fine because we're going to come and do touch-ups anyway. Um, the black was kind of just to get a huge swath of this done, so it'd be much faster. Then we could really focus on our base colors and accent colors versus just trying to get black done everywhere. And then I did it in that way. So if I do play this prior to finishing, um, you still have the readable mini. It's like if we, you still know that's a red guy without. If I just airbrushed them all black for a primer, you wouldn't be able to tell them apart on the board. So nice compromise I made with myself there, just to batch paint without ruining the readability on the table. And I've said it before, I'll say it again 100 times. That's the goal here: is table ready. Make sure they're fun to play, fun to look at, but they don't need to be display pieces. Let's look at the reference. Yeah, I missed his helmet. Some black on his helmet there, but that's okay. Can't really tell that neck right here is black or blue. I'm gonna assume blue because the blue is the hard plate armor, and I think the elites would have a hard plate right here. It'd be black in the joint between there, and we'll come back and do that. And I'll have to touch up the blue after that because it's gonna get messy getting the black paint down there. But yeah, whatever. But yeah, so any of the stiff hard armor is going to be this blue. And then the sword will be interesting. We might do, I'll have to look and see, like an object source lighting. Well, I guess not, because that's kind of implies that the armor would be glowing off the sword's light. And I'm not going to do that. I've never tried it, and I would like that to be, not that I can't do it, but I'd probably want to do that with like a gem or torch or something first, something a little easier to do a reflection of, or something a little less iconic, maybe. I don't know. This. I don't know how bright these swords are. I guess even in the reference art, there's not really much object source lighting. So now we'll get this base coat on, and then we'll take a step back and see where we can touch up with black, touch up with blue, and then we'll identify our accent colors. Find a nice color for those. This brush, I'm liking this brush, even for it's a little bit smaller. Once I get up here in these tighter areas, it's been nice. Less of a mess, less splatter, or I don't know. I'm getting better at controlling the brush. That might be black. We'll do blue. Anyway, I guess, and as long as it's not gray, like I said, well, maybe I said it in the other one. We want our base coats black and gray, or I'm sorry, black and blue, or whatever color we end up doing, especially on the reds and greens that we'll run into eventually on the Spartans. As long as that base color isn't shining through, because it's going to really stand out. Um, just even here, you can see that gray kind of stands out. But if I just did black and blue on this, it would already be, uh, to me, a much better representation of the mini I'm trying to portray on the table. I have to get under there too. We'll come back. Um, and again, that's one important thing is just, since these are just going to be table ready, you don't need to call out every detail. Every line doesn't need to be perfect. Um, Nobody's going to be real critical looking at it. If they are, tell them to paint their own. But yeah, nobody's going to be so nitpicky that it's going to ruin the game for them if you have a piece of paint in the wrong color in the wrong place. And with that in mind, like I said, anyway that's not black, we'll just slather in blue. Now we'll definitely come back and redo that in black. Same with the hand. The glove should be black. Um, but the goal being coverage. So this helmet's going to be a little bit complicated. There's a lot of little underneaths and tight spots back in here. But so we'll just cover it in blue, because anything we don't get with the black touch up, at least it'll be blue instead of gray. So this blue is actually, I'm enjoying it for this mini. I think I made the right choice on this blue. It's not the same blue as the Spartans. It's not this bright uh, saturated blue. It's very much more dull. Which is what we got with this right here, and this chest piece underneath the arm. And looking at the mini from different angles too, you can see, like, looking at it from down here, I see I missed definitely underneath this backpack a little bit. This liner right here, underneath the glove. Not that too many players are going to be looking, but I know it's there, so it bothers me. So, and it doesn't take a whole lot of effort to just go in there, put a little bit of paint down, cover up those gray spots underneath the chin, the neck, which the neck I think I'm going to come back and do black. Underneath the ears, whatever this is here. The chest here. So a lot of this will end up being black, but again, in case I forget, or I don't think I will, but you never know. I could. Let's put it that way. Wouldn't be the first time. Okay. So inside, it's got a little more water. So this is definitely too much water on the brush. So now I can finally show you. You just touch it to the edge, and you'll see it just run out. I mean, there's some obviously pigment in there too, but it gives you a lot more brush control. If that much water, the paint's really going to start running. The surface tension of the water is going to make it pool. Um, it's going to be a lot harder to use. So taking the moisture out lets it leave the brush in a way more controlled way, expected way as well. behaves the way you expect it to, and that's important. You can work with any paint as long as its behavior is consistent. Shitty paint, good paint, the consistency is what's important. And in shitty paint, sometimes it's not consistent. That's why it's shitty paint. One color can be super runny, one color can be super thick. Uh, the same color with different mixing. So if you don't shake it long enough, it's different consistency and different behaviors than if you do. So um, let's see. See if I can get this. If I can stay in frame while I'm getting close, I'm gonna get this belt. Okay, so let's do a little bit here. Let's look at a reference. Oh, that belt was black. Yeah, whatever. I think I like it blue. Yeah, it's a piece of his armor. Um, let's see. Yeah, that neck is gonna be black. The helmet's got some black on it, and that's I think his actual face, the elite's face. Uh, yeah, we'll figure that out. Then the black rim around the hat, black glove, blue sword. So yeah, let's get our black. Let's do. We got a little paint left on here. Let's do once over. Looks good. Oh wait, no, underneath there. Let's see. There we go. Yeah, we'll come back, touch up the black, and then the sword will be next. All right, black, matte black. Shake that up. So usually I'll edit this and maybe do a voiceover or just cut out some parts. But talking to Jacob, we're gonna post the whole thing. So you're gonna get the whole, well, however much of this video is left after I realized I wasn't recording the audio for the first half. Was that maybe an hour, maybe 45 minutes. We'll see how long this sword takes us. But yeah, this will be a longer one. Um, I mean, you're on the internet, you should see that based on the timestamp. But a lot more ooms and ahs and maybe some more quiet spaces. You see the whole process. See that? I've been doing this for a couple years. I'm not. It's not something I'm trying to be amazing at, but it's something I enjoy. So it's always feels good to be good at things you enjoy. Making efforts to be better, but it still needs to be fun. So I don't ever practice regiment or anything like that. It's just get in here and paint, and if I get better, great. Push myself to try different techniques, and if they suck, that's okay. You can always paint over them, but at least you tried. Or you may surprise yourself, and they may come out better than you thought. Say the first time I did non-metallic metal, it came out so much better than I ever imagined it would. That I kept it. Let's go here, touch this up. This arm is going to be hard to read. Sorry about that. So let's assume this is black. Underneath here doesn't need to be perfect, so we can make some assumptions. We know the glove's black, and The sword we might base coat white because if we want to do kind of like a neon blue purple type of effect, I've found that white is a pretty good base coat for that because you're not fighting the black base coat. There might be some better colors. I know pink is a pretty good base coat to go underneath yellow. Um, I don't know if there's a good one for this blue, sky blue sword color we're going to pick. We'll find out. Yeah, first we know this glove is going to be black and I can be sloppy. Let's go back here. We're just doing some touch-ups now. Anywhere we missed or anywhere we messed up with the blue. How do the feet look? Feet could use a little bit. And then, like I said, that looks good there. This maybe right there. There we go. I like that. Looks like that elbow here. That looks good. Oh yeah, the helmet. Looking at the reference. Okay. 1 second, I gotta blow my nose. Alright. Alright, so looks like the black is all of this. So here's we're gonna try to have as much control as we can summon, because this line here is pretty small but pretty defined. So a little bit of brush control and there, and then same here. And this comes up. This black was gonna come up all the way. This little line right here. Let's get a little bit more paint. Right here. And looking at the reference, it comes all the way around. And the ears will stay blue. Black around here. This little piece right here, also black. And then we can start on the side. There we go. So it took a little bit of concentration, so wasn't speaking too much, but that looks good. We do need to do his neck, which is not dry yet, so we'll wait a second on that. While we're waiting, let's do once over. Oh, see, I missed a spot behind that knee there. That can be blue. It looks like right there, some blue. Let's clean our brush and let's grab that blue real quick. Sorry, adjusting the mic. We'll grab some blue. Start behind this knee. Oh, begin focus behind this knee. What was the other one? Okay, well, I don't remember. I'm just looking for spots I missed on blue. It's mostly underneath because I was looking at it from the top. Like definitely here. Um, Looks good, huh? Nothing stands out right away. There we go. Clean that a little bit there. And I get that black as well done there underneath the hat. So let's go back to that black. This is falling off. Let's see. I'll just make a little hill and just stick it right back on there. We're going back to this black. I forgot what I was pointing at. Forgot what I was looking at to get the black when I readjusted. We'll find it again. If it stood out to me that bad, it'll stand out to me again. Yeah, alright, so looking at the reference, the chest piece, the centerpiece has got a black highlight right there. We're not looking at the battle worn stuff. I'm not doing any weathering on these guys for now. Maybe we'll come back to it. Sorry, I'm blowing my nose again. The allergies are killing me. Okay. The neck in here. I just noticed I had one of the bristles up here slapping him in the face, which, yeah, not the end of the world. We're going to have to do his face anyway, but yeah, I definitely put paint where I didn't want paint right now. That's okay, though. Again, nothing's so bad we can't fix it. That looks good. You know what? We're here. I probably make those black, these little divots here, and then we'll touch them up with blue around the edges. Let that dry. Over a little bit right here. Right here. Looks good. Let's get this paint off. We're gonna end up doing this base black anyway, so get some of that paint off there. All right. Let's again do another round of this blue touch up since I've messed up its face here. There we go. This brush already giving me trouble. Come on, man. It's me, not the brush. What am I saying? All right. Okay, so we're good there. Let's think about this sword. Sword's really going to be the challenging piece here. It's definitely like a sky blue. I think I picked out maybe this Arctic gem. A vivid blue. And it looks like it has some white energy or some really bright blue energy beams. And you know what? That might be real fun to try. Even though we don't. It's the only energy sword in the kit, so we can have a little bit of fun with it. Let's do a white base coat on this underneath this blue. That'll brighten it up a little bit. Let me find a good. I have a few different whites. I'm trying to find one that's not an off-white. I'm looking through my older paints. There it is. I'm looking through my older paints. It's been sitting around a lot. The base color is like white and black, gray. I'll try to use up my older paints first, just so they're not sitting. I've had this one for a couple of years. I need to just use it. These base colors you go through pretty quick anyway. You're doing mixing and changing the hues and things like that. Having a lot of white and black is not a bad thing. So I might as well use it. All right, so we're gonna base coat this sword white. And like I said, that's going to give us a nice bright undercoat. So when we do whatever color we do over it, if it's not 100% opaque, this white will just make it that much brighter. Not that we can't get 100% opacity on that blue. It's just it would take multiple coats, and this will just be a nice little shortcut. It could make it brighter, and we might even get this brush, all these brush strokes that this white is showing. If they stick around, I don't think they will. But if they did, that might be a nice texture to have underneath that blue to kind of simulate those energy waves crackling through the sword. See, this I did not prime these, so the difference between a primer and a base coat, a primer can be a base coat, but a primer is usually a very specific type of paint that sticks to materials better than a regular paint that's designed to be the first coat and be a little more sticky and adhesive to this stuff underneath, and to give it it's usually a little tougher of a paint, and it gives and the reason that is now when we go to these other paints where a specialty paint, an effects paint, will stick to the primer much better than it will stick to the plastic underneath, because it's the purpose of the primer. It's specifically designed to give the paint something to stick to while also sticking to the base material. But I did not prime these, and I haven't had too much issue so far. So yeah, even that, like, sometimes you can get away with no primer at all. Sometimes base coats will have built-in primer, or I should say, sometimes primer will have built-in color for base coats. Black being probably the most common, but you can do black or white primers, and that can double as your base coat. I'm going to turn this over. I was sanding some 3D prints, so there's a lot of 3D print dust on this paper towel from earlier, so it keeps getting on the brush. Alright, so we'll let that dry for a second. And while we are waiting for that to dry, oh yeah, let's do the touch up around here. This should be dry now. Yeah. There we go. A little bit here. Oh, that's blue, not black. A little bit here. Like I said, we can take this opportunity while that paint's drying to just do some touch-ups. Look at it with fresh eyes, or more fresh eyes, since we haven't been looking at this blue the whole time. Yeah, looks good. Let's do a little bit of the black on that glove where I noticed. Just right here. And then does the glove have the black accent? No, that's blue. Oh, this little thing here is like a gold, yellow. Oh no, it's black. It's just the lighting that they've chosen on this makes it look like a yellow, but it is black. We'll leave it black. All right, so that white might be dry enough for us to now put some Arctic gem on there. Let's give that a shake. Okay. And then with our eyedropper, we'll do a little bit of water on our palette just to mix it on the brush. This is a pretty thick color, so mix it up a little bit. Just pull some of that water out of there. All right. And I like the color for the sword. It's pretty flat. I do want something in there to just give it a little bit of that energy texture. So I've used ink. I have black ink. I don't have white ink. I actually might buy some though, because that would be fantastic right now. Too much water. Yeah, so the white ink would be great for doing that cool line effect from the energy. But we don't have it, so we'll work with what we have. There is a way we can do it. I haven't done it yet. I've only read about it and watched a video on it. But we can make this paint a little more fluid. I forget the word for it. Make it remove some of the surface tension. These are water-based paints, so I'm using water, and I'm using water as a thinning agent, but we keep the water surface tension. So if we do, that's why inks are nice. It's fine, we'll touch it up. But that's why the inks were nice, because they don't have the same surface tensions. They have a different binding agent, they call it. I forget what they call it. It's a different medium. The fluid the paint sits in is different in ink, I believe, than it is in these water-soluble acrylics. So because of that, the inks flow a lot nicer. Off the brush, you can get real nice lines, real tiny lines. You can freehand some really cool stuff. But again, I only have black ink, so can't really do that. I might, yeah. Black crackle, probably not. But we'll let that dry, and then what we'll try to do is we'll try to maybe do like a super bright blue or white even. So I'll show you what I'm thinking for the blue, like a Neptune glow for those energy waves going through the sword. You can kind of see like right here at the tip, here. So it'll never be transparent like that, since obviously the model's on plastic. The model itself isn't transparent. Now, if we 3D printed these, there are some clear resins we could have done, and then just did a transparent paint over that, and it probably would have looked really neat. What are we doing for this face? Let's look. I don't have the detail work to get his eye like that. I think we might just leave it blue as is. That's getting lazy. I am getting lazy. But I don't know what to do there. It's like a yellow skin, orange. Yeah, let's try it. Grab our trusty, what is this? Candlelight yellow. We'll do that. Or we have our Vallejo. They're pretty close. We'll just do the candlelight. Okay. Paints on the palette. Just a little tiny bit. We'll just get in there. Like, so we can touch this up. This coverage on this yellow is not good at all. We're gonna have to do a few coats. Again, that's the Vallejo. That's why they got their reputation. This is not Vallejo. This is Reaper Bones. So even cheaper than the regular Reaper paints. Yeah, this brush is not doing me any favors either. I should have went smaller. But we'll just glob it on there, just the thickest coat we can. So we're not too worried about it. We can always touch it up. We can always fix it. So we'll just glob that on there. That's what we're doing for now. Clean that up. And then again, actually, it's good example for the real thin lines that I'm going to do. Is again, this new brush right out of the package. This is a 00. We're going to do this Arctic or this Neptune glow. We'll get that on the dropped it. Get that on the palette over here. Sorry, bumped my phone. Just a little bit because we're going to be real light with it. And then I have some medium. Let's see what we have. Yeah, so the war paint retarder is going to is going to thin it out, and it won't dry as fast. There's a lot more time to work with it. Give it a good shake. So that'll thin the paint out, and unlike water, it won't add us. We won't get that surface tension. So we'll just do one drop of this on top of our Neptune blue, just to again, we want the thinness of that without the surface tension of the water. So we'll mix that up on my palette over here. Pull out some of that moisture. Yeah, it's still not exactly what I wanted, but it'll give it enough enough of a texture. It doesn't look so much like it's just one color. Look at this bottom as well. So energy is just random, so we can be kind of random with it too. And it's more like it's behaving more like a wash because it's so thin. Add a little bit of white, maybe. Yeah, that looks. We'll see how it looks when it dries, but it does look better. That does look better. So, I'm actually not mad about that. We'll see how it looks when it dries. Yeah, actually, again, for kind of what we're going for, it came out good. Again, the two colors. I gotta clean up that visor, but again, we're not getting overly complicated on this. No gun to paint. That was the equivalent of us painting the gun. Let me clean up this visor here. Yeah, it's gonna read as a helmet, not like a faceplate. But I don't. I'm not that good. I think I'm okay, but I'm not that good where I can get in here and do eyes. It's just a little bit beyond me. Uh, if this was if this was like a D&D mini that was the character I was going to play for the whole campaign, I might get in there and make an effort. But again, there's only 4 elites in the box, but they are part of the rest of the kit. And I still got quite a few more, so I don't want to spend too much time on each one of these. Right there, the ear's got a black mark on it. Let's clean that up. There we go. Yeah, cool. Let's we'll get the base done. We'll get a big brush for that one. And we're going to do our Reaper Bones Black for the base. Get our brush wet. So this is our number 4 for the base. So it's a big brush. We're just putting paint down. Yeah, so we're not, this is just black, so same, pretty much the same color as the toes. Not worried about too much. We do want to worry when we're up here though, we don't want to touch any of the blue with this. So there we go. Now we'll let that dry, and yeah, I'm calling this one done. Oh, back in frame. Yeah, said pretty simple, nothing too complicated. They don't, the elites don't have too many accent colors. Having not played any of the more modern Halos, I'm not quite sure. Aside from a red or gold from the original games. Yeah. Maybe I'll do one. But cool. One thing I haven't been showing is the varnish. I do these guys in a matte varnish afterwards. That's why they get kind of a shine to them. You think matte would be matte, but you know, I guess there's certain reflective, a certain amount of reflective properties is a matte. So this is a matte. When I would think this was a matte, but this is an ultra matte, and I do have a little bottle of ultra matte varnish, but I figured the shine. I don't hate it, and I can always put the ultra matte over the matte. So, but the varnish does make them safe to handle. I'm not going to rub paint off. These are game pieces. They are going to be handled, and I've been leaving the bottoms the original color. So, because it's some of the reference art is not traditional red and blue. Like I said, we already did our Zafezda pink, but that was originally a red bottle. So we'll know that. If there's ever a question on what team it is, you can look at the base. But cool, yeah. So we'll varnish this one off camera, and yeah, we'll see you guys on the next one.